So there was probably a very clickbaity thumbnail on this video. I did not lie. All my chickens are gone from here. Look, they're not here. Gone. I'm going to show you what I did, and I'm going to explain to you why you might want to think about doing something similar, especially if you've been dealing with problem after problem with your chickens. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising backyard chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. So obviously there's something big going on in Chickenlandia, but the first thing I want to say before I go into everything that I'm doing is I want to acknowledge that I know I have a big piece of land and that most people don't have this. I know a lot of you that are watching me are in the city, in the suburbs. I absolutely love that. There is nothing wrong with keeping chickens on a smaller lot, just as long as you don't overcrowd them. I think it's wonderful. There are some things that I'm going to show you today that you might think, oh my gosh, I can't do that because I don't have that much land. But there may be a way for you to do some kind of variation of what I'm doing, and it may be helpful to you, especially if you've been dealing with parasites, if you've been dealing with illness, or if your chicken yard looks like Waterworld or that Dune movie. We have been on this property, I think about three and a half years now. It has been amazing. I've absolutely loved it here. Before we were here, I had a great place. It was a suburban setting. My chickens had a great yard, but obviously they have more room here. We started out with this big run for them, but I always had the plan to make an addition on the other side of my coop, and I did that this last spring. I had an additional run called Outer Chickenlandia added to my chickens' space, and they love it. I love that they have that extra space, and it's just been great. That being said, my chickens have always preferred this side of the chicken yard, and you can really tell because there is a lot of erosion in this yard. Really, up until very recently, this yard had grass in it and it was beautiful, but after this winter, I don't know, it's looking really rough back here. And the chickens have finally gone through most of the grass back here. Everything that's left is it's just not growing very well. So it's not looking great. And I have a lot of work I need to do in this yard as well. It's not a big deal that there's not as much beautiful grass in this part of the chicken yard. Most chicken yards do not have grass, and that's fine. When I lived in Chickenlandia 1.0, I had to put a substrate in that yard. There always had to be like playground chips or something on the ground to keep things hygienic, to keep the chickens out of the mud, and to just make it look better. So I definitely don't want you to feel bad if you don't have grass in your run, because that is very common. Chickens will destroy every bit of foliage they can get to, especially if they're in an enclosed run. Another thing that I have dealt with since we moved to this new property that I didn't really have much of a problem with before on my old property is that parasites and illness have been much more of a problem here. Now, probably the reason for that is because since I've moved here, I've been able to adopt more birds. So there have been birds from all over the place, even out of state, that have come to live in Chickenlandia. And whenever you do that, you need to understand that you are absorbing an amount of risk that you wouldn't be if you weren't adopting chickens from everywhere. I do it because I've been doing this for a long time and I know what I'm getting into. But if you're new at this, it's really important for you to understand if you're bringing in adult chickens from everywhere, you are really running the risk of extra problems in your flock. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying understand that it will probably be harder for you because you'll be dealing with more problems like I am. So, where are my chickens and what have I done? I am going to show you. So here I am in Outer Chickenlandia. As you can see, all my chickens are here. What I have done is I have locked them out of the other yard, and since I have this additional yard, I have limited them to this yard. Now, of course, they're destroying this yard They are destroying the grass over here, but that's okay because once the regular Chickenlandia is a little bit regenerated, just a little bit of grass growing, just give it a rest over there, then I will open up that area again and they can go over there and it'll be more balanced and we'll get better grass in here too. So aside from just wanting the grass to grow a little bit on the other side, another reason that I have done this is because when you keep chickens on the same plot of land year after year, your risk of parasite infestation, internal and external, increases. So you really have to be on top of it if you're keeping your chickens in an enclosed run. Now, of course, I'm not saying don't do that. I have my chickens in an enclosed run. When we lived in Chickenlandia 1.0, my chickens were in a much smaller space. Of course, I had less chickens, but they were on the same ground year after year. And so I had to have some things in place to kind of mitigate the issues that can come up when your chickens are on the same land, as opposed to them having acres of pasture, so that if there's any illness, they're not like repeatedly exposed to it. If there's any parasite infestation, they're not getting that repeated exposure. And you can always move your chickens. You know, a lot of people have these big mobile coops and they've got their chickens on pasture and they can move the entire coop and put them in a whole nother place if they've had an instance of disease. That's great if you could do that. And I happen to be in a situation where I have 2 big runs, so I was able to move all my chickens onto this run. And another thing that I did was that when I did that, I thoroughly cleaned the chicken coop. I treated everybody for mites and lice, and I just really kind of started over. If you are watching this video and you haven't gotten your chickens yet, and you don't know where you're gonna put them in your yard, I do want you to consider the amount of erosion that your chickens will create if they're on the same space day after day. And I also want you to consider what you will do if you end up with a parasite infestation or if you end up with some illness in your flock. It is great if you can plan now before you have chickens what you can do or how you can move your flock within the space that you have. If you don't have a lot of space and you can't do it, that's okay. When we lived in the suburbs, I didn't have anywhere else I could put my chickens. I probably could have bought like a bigger coop, a mobile coop that I could have moved around the yard, even the front yard. If I had a simple chicken tractor, I could do that. That is one option for people. You know, they can just get their chickens and temporarily put them in a chicken tractor and move them every day so they're on fresh grass and they don't get bored and they don't start getting into trouble. But if you don't have a lot of space, chicken tractors can offer your chickens a place to be without getting too bored, and they can give that stationary place where you normally keep your chickens a break. That's one option, but like I said, if you can't do it, it's okay. Another option, if you're in a smaller space, you don't have a lot of room, but you're dealing with something really serious, you might be able, maybe, you might be able to get somebody to take your chickens for a very short period of time to give that land a break and to not like have them get that repeated exposure. Get them off the land, get them away from the origin of the parasite infestation if that's what you've got going on, and give them a break. And I know that's not an option for everybody, but if you've got a great vegan friend, everybody needs a good vegan friend, okay? You got that good vegan friend that's like, yes, I will take your chickens, I will take loving care of them. Do it and get those chickens off that land for a little while and give yourself some peace of mind. I'm back in the other yard, and I do want to show you there's already some new grass growth. It's already looking better in here. The flock has been on the other side for probably about 5 days. I'm hoping to keep the chickens out of this yard for at least a couple weeks, hopefully more like 3 or 4 weeks, so I can get some more new growth in here. But if they start to get stressed out over there, I will let them in here after a couple weeks because I don't want them to get stressed out. It's not worth it just so I can have grass in this yard. But it's already starting to look better, so I'm pretty happy about that. Of course, when it comes to disease, when it comes to parasite infestation, your best course of action is prevention. Like, that is the best thing that you can do. And when I'm on top of things, it really makes a huge difference, but I gotta stay on top of it. I do have a video about some things that you can do to make sure that you're not dealing with parasites, that you're not dealing with illness, that you're not dealing with other problems. I'm gonna leave that video on the screen right now. It's 100% friendly. Backyard Chickens Education and Entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it.